I bet you didn't know this, but this is the first method that was taught to Neville Goddard when he consciously manifested for the first time. This method works every time, and it can even help you with manifesting your specific person. Who knows that after you understand and apply this method, your specific person will fall on their knees for you, and that too in the upcoming weeks. I know you are strong and you have this mature personality, but deep within you, you also wanted to be addressed as a Pookie by your specific person. It doesn't matter if they call you by this name or not. You will still remain a Pookie for me. Don't blush now, let's now get to the point. Well, what is this method that seems new but it isn't? I read this in a post, and I got hooked by this title, so I used it in my thumbnail. Let's see if by the end of this video, you recognize the other term by which this method is addressed in the manifesting community. Also, in the first part of this video, I will share a story that will help you understand this method, and afterwards I will talk about its application in the specific person's case. So, this method was first taught to Neville by Abdullah. Abdullah was the guide, a teacher who taught this law to Neville and Joseph Murphy. Yes, the two famous authors that are now followed by millions of people all across the globe. Back when it was a time of Great Depression, Neville Goddard was struggling in his dancing career. He had this friend named Abdullah. After many years, he got this intense desire to go to Barbados. He didn't have enough money, and one day Neville was talking about his desire to go to Barbados. The moment he spoke about it, Abdullah responded, "Neville, you are in Barbados." After hearing this, Neville was shocked. He wondered, how high can Abdullah be that he is talking about this nonsensical thing? I am sitting in front of him, telling him that I want to go to Barbados, and here he is saying that I am in Barbados. Then Abdullah told him to live in his imagination as if he were in Barbados. He even told him to sleep in his bed as if he were sleeping at his home in Barbados. Neville didn't take him seriously, but after a few days, he started doing what Abdullah told him. It was October when he started doing this, but nothing changed in his reality. It was as if Abdullah was telling Neville a lie. So, Neville went to Abdullah and told him that nothing had changed. But Abdullah told him, "You are in Barbados. You are not here." Neville thought that he was some madman, and how can he be in Barbados when he is meeting him right here? Days passed, and the month of November was coming to an end. So, he again shared his concerns with Abdullah because the last ship that leaves for Barbados was in the first week of December. But still, he received one answer, and that was, "You are in Barbados." Also, this time Abdullah shut the door on his face. Neville went back, and this time he let go of all of his doubts about whether it would work or not, whether he will be able to achieve his desire or not. He let go of everything. And for the last time, he imagined himself in Barbados. He felt a different feeling this time, and he slept in this state of feeling. Then, after a few days, he received this letter from his brother. His brother has sent him a first-class ticket and some money that he can use to come to Barbados. Neville happily went to the shipping company, but they told him that all the first-class tickets are occupied at the moment, and he can travel in the lower class, but can access the facilities of the first class. Neville agreed and went to Abdullah to share this news. But Abdullah still told him, "You are in Barbados, and you went first class." On the day of the journey, someone from the first class cancelled their journey, and Neville went first class. It was at this moment that Neville Goddard learned a very important lesson, and that was to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. Can you notice how every time Abdullah told Neville, "You are in Barbados," he never told Neville, "You are going to Barbados," or "You will go to Barbados." Abdullah, like a tape recorder, said only one thing, and that was, "You are in Barbados." This is the unhinged method that I read about in a post. I know you have heard about this by a different term. You have another name for this method. Comment down below if you know it. Let's see how many people guess it correctly. Now that you have heard this story and you know about this method, let me blow the gaff. As promised, I will reveal how this method works in the case of the specific person and manifestation in general. So, one thing that you always have to remember when manifesting anything is that you have to live from the end state of the wish fulfilled. I talk a lot about this in my videos. It is not because I get high on whey protein shakes, but because it holds significance. It is extremely relevant. It is highly important to get in the state of having the wish fulfilled because once you reach there, everything starts working. It happens because you are like a tower, emitting different frequencies. You can say that you are emitting certain states of consciousness. The universe is a cosmic dance of energies. You are emitting those energies by remaining in a particular state. Like your smartphone emits a signal when you call your friend. The signal reaches their phone, and you both blabber for hours with a pooky laughter in between. So, isn't it? Can you see those signals? Can you feel those signals? Even right now, these signals are moving. Some are dodging you, and some are even moving from behind. You can also call them electromagnetic waves. Just because you cannot see these waves with your physical eyes, it does not mean that they don't exist. They exist. In fact, they are carrying the messages of your neighbor aunt, who is bad-mouthing about the lady that she saw today who was wearing the same dress as hers. These signals are carrying very important information like gossip, adult talks, and many more such things. They can't be heard and seen by you from your physical senses. But they exist, and a special tool is required for you to receive this message, and that is a smartphone. Am I making sense to you? Does that make your intellectual part of the brain climax? I know it does, and you are like, don't stop. Just go a little deep with your teachings. Well, LOL. So, now if these signals require a special tool, which is your smartphone, then in manifestation, there is also a special tool that exists, and you all are born with it. The tool is called the imagination. You imagine every day, don't you? Now, the message that I am trying to convey is that you are a tower that is emitting these signals to the universe with the use of your special tool called imagination. When you imagine your state of the wish fulfilled, these signals reach everyone because they too have imagination and they think they are imagining it because they wanted to. But the catch is, it is happening because you started imagining something. Who knows that you imagined this because you too received this signal to imagine it because someone else imagined it? Well, I know it is complex. It is as complex as understanding why women feel high one moment, and the next moment they are punching you or biting your arm because they all of a sudden remember that you did a prank with them when you were in high school. But it is not their problem. They are right because they are pookies. Now, let's get serious. We have to use this understanding in our favor. Like, we have to get this in our minds that when we imagine something, it reaches the minds of everyone. Like in Neville's case, when he imagined that he was in Barbados, it reached the minds of everyone, and out of that everyone, his brother also received it. His brother, out of a sudden, has his desire to meet him, to cherish those bro moments. He thought of sending a ticket to Neville. That is how his brother met him in Barbados. He thought he got a desire to invite Neville. He thought it was his idea to meet Neville. But it was Neville who was doing it. It was Neville who imagined the state of the wish fulfilled, and then a series of events happened that made him meet his brother and family in Barbados. Also, when Neville had this ticket, Abdullah told him that he went first class. Neville accepted it, and someone got the idea to cancel that ticket, and that made it possible to travel first class with all the facilities of a first class. Now this may sound like an absurd idea to you. You may think that you will be in trouble because you imagine certain things that are not socially acceptable. Well, I get it, and that is why Neville told you to imagine things that are lovely and are of great report. Now, some of you will even think that this idea is untrue. Well, you can accept it as untrue, but before you do it, just for a few days, start arguing with a friend in your mind. Argue with them every day and make them feel like trash just in your imagination. I am not asking you to say anything on their face. Just do this and see what happens. I am pretty sure you will see a different version of this friend. Suddenly they will start ignoring you out of nowhere. They will start rejecting you, and it will feel as if something is wrong. This will happen even if you haven't uttered a word from your mouth. Just try it and then accept it or reject it. Personally, I think that imagination has a key role to play in our lives. Imagination has a major role, and it is unexplored by the majority of the people around the globe. Imagination is an extremely powerful tool that can either make you or break you, and I think that we are all one and we are somehow connected to each other, and you can say that we are connected through imagination. So, the great thing about this is the part that will actually give you a climax. It is that, whenever you imagine the feeling of love, whenever you imagine that you are loved and everything is perfect in your life, you are emitting those signals to the entire universe, and when that is happening, everyone starts working towards it to make this state your reality. Like when you are feeling loved, everyone will start pouring that love into your life. You might get proposals from people, maybe others start getting interested in you. Everything will happen to reflect that state back to you. The catch here is that when you imagine being with your specific person, then this signal reaches to them, and they suddenly have this desire to be with you. When you persist in this state, then this desire gets deep in your specific person, and that is when they crave you, and they too want to be with you, they want to meet you. When this happens, they take certain actions, thinking that this is their own idea to meet you. They meet you and confess their feelings to you. This only happens for the people who persist, and if it hasn't happened for you yet, then my friend, you have two things to deal with. First is the self-concept. Second is persisting in the state of the wish fulfilled. Apart from these two things, there is nothing that you have to do. You have to live your life, do the daily chores, go to your job, and in your imagination, you have to live as if the desire that you wanted has now become your reality. That's it. That is how many people did it, and they shared their experiences in the form of success stories where they met their specific person. Their specific person told them that they were thinking about them for the whole day. This is how in the past I used this unhinged method with one of my specific person, and then they shared with me that they missed me a lot and they have never stopped thinking about me. Now, this does not only apply to love or to a specific person's situation. It applies to everything. If you start feeling wealthy inside of you, if you start imagining that you are in the state of wealth, even though you are working 9 to 5, some things will happen that will take you to your imagined circumstances. Now, it does not mean that you have to leave your job and rest your peaches on the bed for the whole day. In no way does it mean that you have to stop working for the things you want. Living in the state of the wish fulfilled does not mean that you have to become lazy in your life. It is not a process that will take you backward in your life. Instead, it is designed to take your life forward. So, imagine this new state as it is reaching everyone and persist in this new state. Reject every idea that says that you don't have what you want. Like Abdullah told Neville, you are in Barbados. In the same fashion, you have to persist by thinking that you are in a relationship. This is how you receive your manifestation. Send the desired signals shamelessly. To make it easy for you, I have designed a guided meditation that has given many of my subscribers wonderful results. They have shared their experiences in the comments section. You can check this video by clicking on the first video that now appears on the screen.